This is the HomeTech Podcast for Friday, November 1st. From Sarasota, Florida, I'm Seth Johnson.
From Reynoldsburg, Ohio, I'm TJ Huddleston.
And from Pickering, Ontario, I'm Gavin Campbell.
And welcome to the HomeTech Podcast, a podcast all about home technology, home automation, all sorts of fun stuff. Mac Mini. It's Mac Mini. Happy Mac Mini Day.
Yay.
That's basically what today is, right? I don't know of anything else that happened today, but new Mac Mini. It's really small. I mean, that's nice. I have a Mac Mini. I bought it last year. It works great.
It's small as well.
It's pretty small. It's not that small though. But I do like that it comes with more USB-C ports, so that's a nice addition.
Yeah, it has like 2 in the front and what, three in the back, and I guess one of them is a Thunderbolt 5 port or something like that on one of the models.
Super fast.
Whatever that is. Thunderbolt 5, it's like you have to have a special cable for it, and if you don't have the special cable, which isn't marked as well, then nothing works. So the USB-C has been great, as in like all the cables are the same, but it's also not great because the cables have to have like special markings on them to be and of course Apple doesn't label them correctly. They put like white ink on white cables, and so if you can see that, then you'll say, oh, it's a Thunderbolt 5, but otherwise you wouldn't know.
Yeah, that is the one thing that's pretty annoying about USB-C, because right now I'm looking, when we started installing new electrical outlets, I bought USB outlets in various spots. Like they're in the kitchen, just like in-wall USB outlets, so that way I don't have to have a giant brick hanging off the wall or whatever. And I think the ones I have, they're 20 amp outlets because they're in my kitchen. They only output 30 watts. So they're really not that fast, but perfect for just leaving stuff to charge overnight. Pretty much anything I put on there is going to be charged the next morning, so that's nice and easy. But there's certain areas where I want to have faster charging, like my laptop bag, for example, or my travel bag. Maybe I want a really fast charger. And the chargers are very obvious because they usually say, 90 watts on them or whatever they are on them. But the cables, it's like, well, unless I know what this cable is when I bought it, how am I going to know how fast it can charge?
Yep. And then like if you want to hook it up to a monitor and get whatever K out of it, like sometimes it has to be a special like I don't know. It's a mess. Yeah, I mean, it's great. Everything fits together. That's awesome. I've recently, one of my like side projects is rebuilding here it is right here actually. Like my travel kit. It's full of junk right now because I haven't taken it completely apart, but like I mentioned that travel router I got, right? It's USB. I made sure I got one with USB on it because like I don't want to go on vacation anymore or traveling anymore without just bringing the USB junk. That's all I need. I don't need to bring anything else. Just have the USB-C and call it a day. Like half the chargers I have in there were like USB-A, I guess is what it is. Yeah, USB-A. Mm-hmm. All the devices at this point now, I think they're all USB-C. So.
Do you guys have any of the battery packs that have the display on them that tell you like how fast it's charging and all that stuff?
Little anchor guys like this?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they have like an actual display on them and it'll tell you, oh yeah, so you have, I've never seen that one. That one's cool. I love that because it does tell me how fast it's charging. And somebody the other day, I think it was in the Slack channel, posted Anchor is coming out with supposedly a USB-C charger with a screen on it. And somebody was like, why would I want that? And I was like, well, I want that because I can tell if my cables are actually good or not. Because if I have a cable that's charging really slow, I don't want that cable anymore, And that's like, I feel like that's going to be the cheapest way to determine if a USB-C cable is good.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Without buying like a testing equipment or something.
It's sad that our standards got into this, like it shouldn't be this complicated, Oh, that's my rant.
Yeah, I don't know how you would improve it though. You know what I mean? Because like it's too tiny for like markings that make it obvious, and you can't do colors because everybody just do random colors.
Do different colors, yeah.
So I'm not really sure. I don't know how the problem would be solved. But
just put like a number 4, like a dark number 4. So like I have that Anchor thing. I tried to show you what it was, but they're also a company guilty on this side of printing on a black device with black ink.
Yes. All the serial and model and everything.
Yeah. Luckily, I know I ordered it from Amazon. So this is the Anchor MagGo Power Bank Qi 2 certified 15-watt ultra-fast MagSafe compatible portable charger, 10,000 milliamp battery pack with smart display and foldable stand for iPhone 15, 14, 13, 12 only, USB-C cable included.
Matter compatible.
That's I don't think it has Matter. Maybe it does. Anyway, I guess it's got the screen is kind of nice because it tells you not only like how long it will take to charge, like if you're going to recharge this thing, but it also tells you how long it's going to take to discharge or charge. I guess it's charge your phone. So if you put your phone on it, it'll tell you like, oh, it's going to take an hour to charge your phone based on whatever rate it's going at. I like them. They work well. It's got a USB-C thing on the back of it, so you can kind of use it as a nightstand or whatever. If you were in a pinch, but I generally toss that in my computer bag too when I'm leaving. If I'm on the phone a lot or using my phone a lot when traveling, just pop that on. You don't have to worry about battery anymore. I used it a lot at Cedia. All
right, so I typically pay. I like to buy Anchor USB-C cables, and if you buy the average ones, they're around $10 to $15 for like a 2-pack for 2-3 foot ones or whatever. You can buy the bougier ones, like the nicer feeling material and stuff for $15 or $20 per cable. Can either one of you guess how much a Thunderbolt 5 cable is from Apple? 1 meter long.
1 meter, so 3 feet.
$89.99.
All right, $89.99.
Canadian price?
Well, okay. So I'll have to do the conversion for that. So you go ahead and name your price, Seth.
So like $15, and then I don't know, probably $30, $40, $40. I'll say $40.
Oh man, you're way off. It is $69. What did you say again, Gavin?
$89.99.
$89.99.
So Gavin nailed it.
Yeah, you're pretty much right on, dude. How does that make you feel? $90 USB cable. USB-C, I guess Thunderbolt 5.
Hard pass.
But
what's the Apple tax?
It's USB-C. Yeah. Let's be honest.
It's USB-C. Well, I think the Thunderbolt 5 stuff has more
1 meter,
junk in it for the displays and whatnot.
I mean, this thing goes 120 gigabits per second. I mean, that's a pretty fast cable. So you're not going to use this to like charge your phone.
No. I have the one of the docks I use for my computer to act. I use 2 screens on it or something, but I can only use certain cables with it too. Like it was a Thunderbolt 4 or whatever it is. If I use a different cable, then the screens don't work. They just don't even.
You're right.
They're like, there's no screens here. So
120 gigabits per second, up to 240 watts of power delivery.
Yeah,
I mean that's impressive.
Such an Apple thing, and I bet you if you wanted the 2 meter one, it'd be $499.99. That's how they price their things, right?
She's like, add $200.
I don't even know if they'll sell a 2 meter one though. Can you?
It might be out of spec,
and they'll can't send the gigabits that fast.
Yeah. Wires. What are you gonna do?
Who uses them?
Yeah, I was pricing out the Mac Mini, and I'm just like randomly clicking. I appreciate that they say starts at $599, but holy cow, can you make this thing cost a lot of money? The add-ons and everything. I priced one out that I would think would be like an enjoyable computer for the next, I don't know, 5 years or whatever. I mean, I have a 2012 Mac Mini that I used up until a few years ago, up until 2023. But yeah, this thing's $2,700. No, that's up there. $599 is a far way away from $26.99.
Yeah, but one has to ask: do you need like 64 gigabytes of memory and a terabyte solid state?
I mean,
yes.
you can't update it though. It's tied in.
I mean, that's true. But you get like 16 or 32.
Future proof, of
course. The reason you'd want memory at this point in time is because all of the AI stuff loads all, like when you load a model, it loads all into memory. So some of the models right now are already at 22 gigabytes. And they'll load, if you don't have that on your computer when you load it, it won't load that right into the memory. And the model won't work or go extremely slow. So that's I mean, if we keep doing the large language model, generative AI junk in the future, that's where all the memory is going to go to real quick.
So I priced out a Mac Mini. For myself. I maxed out everything because I have to get the best of all.
Yeah.
Added in the Apple Home Care. Apple Care. And then I added the
Gavin doesn't even know anything about Mac stuff.
I know nothing about Macs. And then,
did you get the film editing thing they always try and sell you when you buy Mac?
Of course.
Yeah, I added all those software products,
okay, good. You're going to edit. You have to edit films when you
exactly.
I mean, obviously, that's what Gavin does right now.
Yeah. And then I, as I was checking out, they recommended a monitor. So I went with the monitor and I had to go with the top of the line. When I was done, I was at about $12,000.
That's it?
So.
Yeah, what a steal.
Yeah. But if it makes you guys feel better, I've ordered my first ever Macintosh computer today through work. So in a week or two, I will have a Mac computer. It will be my first one ever.
Oh,
I'll know what you guys are talking about.
one
now.
of us. One of us.
You're gonna absolutely hate it at first.
I won't reboot it ever.
Yeah, it's definitely a learning curve, especially coming from Windows. It's like it does things different, I guess is the best way of saying that. But like it's once you understand what they're doing, a lot of the stuff starts to fall in place. You go, oh, that's nice. But the fact that they were like, hey, iOS must be the way to go. All the computers are going to be iPads in the future for, I don't know, 10 years, definitely shows in the software, up until recently. They've been updating, doing a really good job of updating the Mac software. And I don't really need it to do much. It just has to run a code editor for me and, some Windows programs.
You see, that's what I've seen a lot of people say is like, I use my Mac to run Windows.
It's a really good Windows computer.
That makes sense. Yeah,
It does make a really good Windows computer.
But I also hear you guys gripe about a lot of things that I just take for granted on the Windows side. So I don't know. I'll see how it goes.
Yeah,
I'll give you my feedback, after I've used it for a little bit.
The thing I'm most excited about, so it's not a new Mac Mini because I don't need a new Mac Mini, unfortunately, is they finally updated the Mac accessories.
Ooh.
And so if you've used the Magic Mouse or the touchpad or the keyboards, up until today, they've used Lightning because why would you update it years ago? And so they finally updated that. And I've been waiting because I want a trackpad because I really do enjoy the trackpad on Macs. I think that is one of their better features. And I'm going to see about replace my mouse with that.
Yeah, they did a good job on that.
USB-C. I don't think I need a keyboard. I'm going to go for a new mechanical keyboard, but
everybody's laughing at the mouse because the port is still at the bottom.
Still in the bottom. Yeah.
Yeah. See, I honestly don't think that's a big deal. What I think is silly though is the Mac Mini supposedly has the power button on the bottom.
Yes.
And that is silly because like I need the power button occasionally. What am I going to do? Like reach behind my desk to turn on my Mac Mini?
I mean, the thing is
no sense.
5 inches by 5 inches. Like it's about the size of what an Apple TV. I mean, Apple TV has gotten a little bit smaller recently, but like it's pretty dang small. I don't think you're going to have it's not like you're lifting up a very heavy piece of equipment to push.
Well, okay. Well, I don't think lifting up the computer is the issue. I think my computer is like tucked behind my monitors.
Yeah.
I mean,
I think if people are using this for like rack
I just reach behind it and I hit a button and I'm like, bam, it's on.
I think people like using this for like rack installed stuff or like you said, behind a TV or monitor for digital. I don't know. You would spend $2,500 in a digital.
Stop it. Nobody's doing that.
Yeah. I think that is probably going to be a pain for them. Although I saw the people talk about like the rack mounted Macs and stuff, but I don't know if you guys know, like when they were rack mounting the Macs, they weren't like Amazon and I think there's another colo place that does it. Like Amazon literally was taking them apart and taking the guts out and then like putting them into their own custom case, like all the like guts and everything.
No, for space they were doing it, right?
Well, yeah. So they could, they could just have a whole rack shelf area and full of just of Mac Mini cores tied to whatever memory they or storage they wanted them to go to, but also like for the the power on like on those data center racks is like a different style of power. They had like a DC rail running for the battery backup, and they have a separate backup power supply that runs up the other rail. So like it was a very highly specialized case. I'll try and find the video of that. It was really cool to watch. Like they spent hours just tearing down Mac Minis. Just like, well, here's a pile of shells, and all the guts are just like plugged into this case. So anyway, interesting. There's a new Mac Mini. It's even smaller than it was before. If you need a Mac Mini, they start at $599, but go up really quickly. It's like, what?
Just ignore AI. AI is not a real thing. You don't need memory for it. You're fine.
Honestly, and it's got the M4 stuff. Like I have the M1, I think it's the M1 Max from like 2021, 2022. I think it's 2021. And this computer is so freaking fast. I do not need to upgrade or anything, but I always I have a Mac Mini that needs to go away. And I really like having a desktop computer, like a desktop based computer, more than I do a laptop. Laptops get weird. I use mine in clamshell, like it's closed up over there. the laptops just get weird to me if you're using it, like taking them up and down. I like having a fixed location computer I can get back to and all that stuff. So it's just one of those things. A $599 Mac Mini doesn't look like it's very impressive though. I would definitely upgrade the memory to like at least 32, which adds $400 and puts you at $999. So there you go.
That's what kills me there, right there.
Oh my gosh. And 250 gigabyte storage. Nope. You're going to need a terabyte. And then, all right. So you're at $1,400 for the base. And if you guys, this is the funniest part.
You might as well get the 10 gig internet too.
Yeah.
I mean,
$100. That's all? Yeah.
that's
why not?
nothing.
$100. Throw it into the pit. There you go. $1,500 for what I would say. So $1,000. We've added $1,000 in upgrades.
That just goes to prove that nobody cares about 10G internet, though. If they're only offering it for $100, they know nobody wants it. Nobody's going to do it. They're like, whatever.
It's all going wireless.
I'll throw you a bone.
But for 10G internet, that 125 is worth it. If anything, click on that.
Yeah. I would say that memory is very important. If you don't need this, storage is abysmal at 256 gigabytes. But I would say at least a terabyte storage. I mean, I don't know. These days for a desktop computer, I guess you would kind of know. At least they give you the options.
Everything's cloud now. Everything's cloud now.
There you go. New Mac Minis. Happy Mac Mini Day. I guess there's Mac Pros or something coming out this week. And we also have Halloween coming out. Before the show releases, we'll be doing Halloween. You guys going trick-or-treating this year? What are you guys doing? Throwing candies at kids?
Now, they always look at me weird when I show up for candy nowadays, especially because I don't have any kids. So I usually hand out candy.
Okay. Yeah,
I bought some candies to hand out, but they're finished, so I gotta go buy some new candies.
I snuck one earlier.
Never buy your Halloween candy too early because it sits there looking at you, and it starts off you just eat the ones you like, and it ends off that you just finish off the box.
I know. Why do they put so many that I don't like in there? Why can't we just buy the candies that I like? Oh wait,
I know. Yeah.
That's why we picked ours up from Sam's Club yesterday, and Nicole was like, "Should we pick this up before now?" And I was like, "Nope."
I'm just gonna put out an empty bowl with a sign that says "Take." Candy, and then everybody that comes will think the other kids took all the candy. There you go. Problem solved.
That's sad.
Picture the other day. It was a Halloween bucket. I guess it's pretty old, but it was funny to me. And it said it was like free Halloween foe, 1 slurp per trick or treater or something like that. And I was like, oh my god, who would have that sitting outside their house?
Yeah, the neighbors down the street, they live in a cul-de-sac, and they go all out for Halloween. I think they're probably one of the most decorated houses in our area. But they've expanded their setup outside of their yard, and they've recruited other people in the cul-de-sac, and they have these creepy looking statues of like clowns and stuff that are just like in everybody's yard.
Oh wow!
And they throw a Halloween party every year. So we're gonna go down there and see that. Hand out my candy. We only bought 100 candy bars this year. Once I'm done, I'm done. I think last year we bought like 150 and we had way too many.
You're the full-size guy too, right?
That's right.
Oh man. I'd come by your house multiple times if I knew that.
Wouldn't blame you.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll probably run down the street with hopefully with the neighborhood kids if they're around. They're usually around, and then they end up cleaning up because they're the only ones that come through evidently. But there's some bigger neighborhoods that all the everybody kind of goes through for those. It's like a neighborhood full of TJs who are handing out those big candy bars, and that's where they go. So we'll see. I have a big smoke machine to put together, and I haven't done it yet. So,
well, you only have 2 days, so you might want to jump on that.
I know. I got so much to do. I've got things to hook up to it. I've got everything here to make it into the low smoke thing, low lying smoke. And I just haven't had time to do it or test it or anything. So, maybe one day.
Next year.
Yeah. I put a picture of that slurp of pho there in the channel for you guys to look at.
I see that. That's pretty funny.
Does it taste tasty?
Should at least give a ladle. Geez.
Yeah, right. No, it's just a slurp. Just put your lips right up to it and take a slurp. All right, we'll put a link to that in the show notes too. Anyway, we have 1 or 2 HomeTech headlines this week. It's definitely slowed down for the end of the year here. So, what do you guys say we jump in?
Let's do it.
OliverIQ has launched the OliverIQ Hub. It's a plug-and-play device designed to deliver more comprehensive smart home services through its smart home as a service platform. There you go. The hub features AI-powered, because it has to have AI today, AI-powered customer support through a chatbot named Ollie. And it's available exclusively through ISPs, security dealers, home builders, professional integrator firms, and some retailers out there. Hub stands out. This is interesting. This thing's got a lot of stuff on it. It's got, what did it have? Z-Wave, Zigbee, Wi-Fi, and Bluetooth with Matter support planned in the future. And it can control an unlimited number of devices. Unlimited, with unlimited remote support from OliverIQ there. So you can add all the devices to your heart's content at any time. And if you run into a problem, you give them a call and they'll fix it for you. But it's been a long time. Guys, we used to have this bell we rang when Hubs came around. I'll go ahead and ring it. There we go.
Oh,
Hub bell. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, it's been a while.
It's been a while.
I think unlimited is kind of pushing it, though. I mean,
maybe
there's limits to Zigbee and Z-Wave and stuff like that. So unlimited is, I don't know. Maybe if I don't know, you'll run out of IP addresses. There's a limit to the number of IP addresses. So I don't know. That's a bold claim right there.
I think they probably know their market. It's unlimited, meaning like probably a few dozen
more
devices.
Than you can afford.
Yeah.
More than you want. I honestly think this is really cool. Honestly, just because it comes with Z-Wave, Zigbee, Wi-Fi, and Bluetooth. We've seen a lot of these hubs come out where they support maybe Zigbee or maybe Z-Wave. So it's nice to see something come out where it supports every standard out there. Not Matter right now. That probably doesn't matter at the moment. But it would be nice if they release that eventually.
Yep. And this is the founders pretty much of this company are former Control 4 executives, like the founders of Control 4 back in the day. So, I mean, they do know what they're talking about with this stuff. They know the market very well. They know what market they're playing in and who they're talking to. So I don't know. I'm really curious to see how this takes off in the future. Now that they have a little hardware product, maybe they have some customers through ISPs and that kind of thing. I'll be interested to see if anybody gets their hands on one of these things and likes using it.
Yeah, I think there is a big market for it, especially, at the end of the day, especially for an integrator, there's a difference between a customer that wants like a completely custom system and another customer that just wants their system to work.
Yeah.
And there's not a lot of, there's a big price difference between those people. And so if you can offer something like this where it just works out of the box and people like it, I think that's going to win over a lot of people and they don't need the fully custom thing.
And this is set up as like, you can set up your own stuff in here, right? Like you can do it if you wanted to. But the thing is like when you run into problems or you want to do those custom programming things, like you don't have to call the integrator to do it. You call these guys up and they'll kind of like walk you through it to help you understand how it works and educate you on the platform. Maybe you can do it again the next time, or just if that's what you're paying for the service, call them up and have them do it again. Do it for me. It's kind of like do it for me, but like do it for me in a call center type thing.
That's right.
Unlimited calls.
Unlimited calls. Call all you want. We're here for you. All right. Let's move on here. One other story. This is kind of a quick, like, couple of social media posts. I didn't see too much on it. But over on the Zooz community forum, they announced that the Zen34 remote switch and the Zen37 wall remote now both integrate with Alarm.com. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I like that. As an Alarm.com dealer, I'm always looking for more Z-Wave stuff to sell because it works. I don't really have any problems with it or anything. I don't know if I have anybody that would use a scene controller at the moment, but definitely the wireless controller because you can have that tied into different automations through Alarm.com. So I could probably just tack on a couple of these remotes every system I do and just have people trigger different things.
Yeah, it says the scene controller can not only it can work as a Z-Wave remote, but it says here that they can activate any device controlled through Alarm.com or whatever you want to do based off that. So that could be really powerful. It's good to have interface button, like hard button interface things, right?
Yeah, for sure.
And this is great to see for Zooz. I mean, they're great products. I've always been pushing them. I think, if you have an Alarm.com device, you can't go wrong with Zooz, so like, and they're affordable. And they have unlimited devices.
Unlimited
devices. That's too good. Well, well, we do have, we're kind of out of stories tonight, but we do have an interview with Maxwell Monson from over at AquaFlower. We sat down with him and chatted with him. TJ, you have one of these boxes that you've been using to water your plants. How are the plants? Are they alive?
Well, the plants are dead right now because it's
it's cold.
It's fall. You know, we had our first frost and everything like that. So, not the fault of the AquaFlower. But the AquaFlower was great. Unfortunately, I didn't really have much time with it this growing season. I think I got it. I'd have to look at the records for sure, but I only had it for like 2 months. And so it was enough time to get acquainted with it, get it set up and use it and everything like that. Wasn't enough time to like see the progress over a year, if that makes sense. But it is one of those devices I'm excited for. Unfortunately, mine broke because I'm clumsy. I break stuff occasionally. I'm pretty sure I hit it with the weed whacker or the lawnmower got a hold of it, something, and it just got a lot of water into it. And it was an early prototype model. So, I mean, it wasn't meant really to be outdoors anyway. So at this moment, I do not have it. I'm going to get one next spring, though. And I'm going to buy it, guys, because I really enjoy it. And I think it will make a big difference. And I'm not going to spend $5,000 on getting an irrigation system.
Yeah.
I'm going to buy this $200 box instead.
All right, cool. Well, let's go ahead and jump into the interview with Maxwell Monson from AquaFlower. Hey, Maxwell, thanks for joining us. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. I appreciate you guys having me here. I'm looking forward to this.
No problem. Well, AquaFlower, neat little product. TJ ran across. I guess what we want to do is like learn a little bit more about you first before we get started. Like, what's your background in this? What made you kind of like interested? What industry you come from? That kind of thing. What made you interested in making a little product like this?
Yeah, definitely. So I've spent my entire professional career basically working for companies and automating data systems, processes, things like that. So most of my life has been spent around automating things. So this was kind of a natural evolution to I wanted flowers. I sucked at making sure I watered the flowers, so they died. So how can I make this easier? And let's automate it. That's kind of how I came across it.
So a general joy of automation, and so now you've entered the dark side, the manufacturing side.
Exactly.
And I'm sure, as we'll probably find out during this interview, you have some lessons learned, or you're still learning lessons probably.
Oh, I think I'm still learning, will forever learn, but yes, there were a lot of them that I did not expect. And it's a whole nother challenge, I would say. Coming up with the idea and figuring out how to build an idea that works is one part, but then figuring out how to actually set that idea up and operationalize it is a whole nother challenge.
Right. Just high level view, 30,000 foot view. What is AquaFlower? What is it? If you were giving the elevator pitch at the Shark Tank, what would you tell them?
Yeah. So I would basically tell them, I'd say, if you've ever forgotten to water your flowers, you should buy the AquaFlower. It's going to make sure you don't. It's a box that you can hook one hose line up to it and plug it in the wall, and then just run your little drip irrigation lines off it and control everything from your phone. So from scheduling and setting up your daily watering schedules to doing one-off watering sessions with the click of a button, you can control 6 individual lines. All through the app. And I think one of the fun, cool things we've built into the app is for people like me can use it a lot is a little AI gardening assistant. So you want to know what flowers to plant in a shady front porch hanging basket, just ask it and it'll tell you what to plant and how much to water it. And you go from there. So it's kind of it's your garden assistant, if you will.
Yeah, and I struggle with the same thing, actually. I struggle to water my plants. And that's one thing when I bought my house last year, we wanted to add all these flower beds and raised garden beds and stuff like that. But I was like, I am not going to water these things every single day. There's just no way. I don't have enough time to do that. And so I started looking for some timers of some sort. And they come out with all kinds of like Bluetooth timers and mechanical timers and digital timers that you can program for your hose. But unless you have like an actual irrigation system, there's not really much in that space. And so I was really excited when I found your product because it really is an interesting product. It's something that I don't think really exists in this space.
You hit it right on, where I think you have 2 options before the AquaFlower, which was go with the timer, which is, it works, but you also have one control for everything. You're not going to customize anything. You're not going to water your certain flowers more or less. It's just kind of a one-size-fits-all approach. or you're going to spend like $7,000 and have a whole irrigation system put in, which is just for most people not reasonable. And so that was really where this product came to fit. But it's a step above the timers and the regular hose faucet timers, but not having to be so invasive and cost as much as like a irrigation system that's put in.
Yeah, and I got a quote for an irrigation system, and it was like $5,000. So it is not a cheap undertaking.
And the maintenance. So
yeah, let's just say wait till it breaks, and you're like, I have one that I ran over, like it was sticking up after it rained or it watered one morning, and of course I let my grass grow really tall. So like as I was mowing, I didn't know it was sticking up, and whack, it got taken off, and now it went back in, but now there's just a hole in the ground that's collecting dirt, and I've got to go fix that one of these days.
I sound like I'm the only one that likes my irrigation system at this point. I
like mine. I just don't like touching it.
So is AquaFlower mainly an outdoor product, or is it indoor? Or are you aiming at both?
It's an outdoor product.
Yeah.
So due to the fact that it takes a regular hose line, we are advertising it as an outdoor only product. So there's thought of building out an indoor one, but I think that just from the risk aspect of it from a company owner, it's a lot easier if something floods outside than it does inside. So.
That brings up some a question we had. Are there any like safety features built in that would prevent it from like overwatering and that kind of thing?
Yeah. So each valve has its own basically master timer. So in the app, you won't be able to run a zone for longer than 1 hour at a time. So after 1 hour, no matter what happens, it's going to make sure it turns that zone off. And that's actually for two reasons. One, to not let you overwater and have something happen if a glitch happened. But two, that the way the solenoid valves actually work is that activate them, they get very hot eventually. So it's basically a coil that's energized that then lets the solenoid go up and holds it up and out of place. And so you have those on for too long and they can actually heat up pretty heavily. So you want to have a lot of different safety features from that aspect too. They would never get too hot to cause a fire or anything like that, but it's just, I learned the hard way that you touch them and they're hot to the touch.
Interesting. I would never have thought of that, but yeah, I guess like you said, you learned the hard way. That's interesting. Walk us through what it is like to kind of like set up the AquaFlower right now. Like you get it from the mailman, you open up the box. What's next?
Yes. And this, I think, one of the biggest selling points of it, and one of the things I tried when I was designing it and making it, I tried to make it as easy as possible, was how can we streamline this and make it so I always joke that my dad or my mom can do it, because if they can set something up, anyone can set something up. So when you get the thing, you're going to unbox it, and there's a couple adapters that you just put onto the front. So it's just like basically a hose valve on the front that you're going to twist one piece onto and then connect your hose to it, just like you would any regular garden sprinkler. Then you plug it in the wall and you open up the app, and you are now set up to configure this and get it set up to your Wi-Fi. There's a little setup process, just like you would any smart device, where you go on the app, you hit pair. Our system uses a Bluetooth connection to send the Wi-Fi credentials over to the device, get it connected to Wi-Fi. Then you go ahead and pair it, and then it sets everything up and links it to your account. And at that point now, you have full control of it. So all you got to do is plug in your little 1/4-inch drip water line that comes with the box and run those to all your different flowers. And those are things that you can get as crazy as you want. So in my backyard, I got real lazy and I just run them kind of on the side of my house above the ground. And that was perfect for me back there. But in my front yard, I wanted it to look a little bit nicer. So you didn't have to bury them super deep, but I just kind of have a lot of rocks. So you dig up some of the rocks, use some yard staples and put them in there and run them and then cover them up, and you can't really see any of the lines. So you can basically set the whole thing up from unboxed to be watering your flowers through your phone within 30 minutes. It's a very easy setup process.
Yeah, and I'll attest to that. I mean, the one you sent me was an early prototype, and it's going to look a little different than what is going to be the final release product. But one thing I really appreciated was how fast I was able to use it. It wasn't one of those things I had to tinker with. And I've used a lot of products in the past where it's like you're setting up something with an app for like, it seems like 30 minutes just to get like basic configurations and to use the device and everything like that. And with this, I literally like plugged it in, and within, I think, 5 5 minutes at most, like even connecting all the hoses and everything, it was up and working. And it worked flawlessly. So, I mean, that was really nice. And it was really rewarding because it did just make the experience really nice.
In terms of smart home brands, I've always loved Philips Hue. I've been a big believer in them. Their things just seem to work every time I use them. And that was something I've tried to kind of model this after. Is I want people to, as they think of AquaFlower, they just think of something that it works. That's what it does.
Are there any interesting use cases you've come across that somebody wanted to use this for, or maybe somebody's used this for that you didn't think about?
I've heard of a few kind of fun ones. I get a lot of questions about solar power. And is there going to be an eventual solar power option that to power the whole box for a lot of people, like in homesteader environments? And then, I kind of ask questions. I think there'd be issues with Wi-Fi connections and things like that. There'd be a lot of complexity, but a lot of things around solar panels and kind of the homesteader idea. Two of the kind of unique use cases I've heard about from both of them came from the same tester I had. Is he took one of his lines and split it two ways and created a little Wi-Fi controlled misters for his back deck. So he could cool off on the back deck with them. And that seemed to work pretty well. Another one using the exact same concept is he actually put some around his AC and then used Home Assistant. So when his AC turned on, it turned the misters on to cool the air off outside of his AC and hopefully lower his AC bill. I can't attest if it actually did or did not, but that was two kind of funny. Nothing really in terms of gardening, though. It's been pretty basic use cases in terms of, what people are using it for. So I think as more people go ahead and get their hands on it, we'll hear about a lot more use cases. And that's kind of where we're at.
The solar one's a great idea. I mean, you could possibly get there, maybe not with 6 valves, but maybe with smaller valves and then a lot of batteries. But then like the radio becomes the issue, like you were saying, like Wi-Fi is going to keep on, well, not even cellular, that's even worse, but like you'd have to go with something else that's a lower LoRa,
LoRa. Yeah. That's what I've looked into that, and I think the best system for that would be that create like basically you have a home hub that you'd have to create, and then that's Wi-Fi connected, and then LoRa back to the devices.
Hey, more products to develop,
right? But and really the valves don't take a ton of power. The entire thing runs off of 12 volts, about 2.5 amps.
And you mentioned Home Assistant a couple of times. What other integrations do you currently have with the AquaFlower?
So Home Assistant's the one that we want to definitely have integrated, mainly because I love Home Assistant and use it. But we are looking at doing Apple Home, Google Home, and then some of the different voice ones. But I think that those will probably come later down the line. Try and make sure we get the product out there and find the right fit, and then looking at developing those as we see fit.
Makes sense.
Have you looked into like Matter over Wi-Fi or anything like that in terms of integration, or is it just going to be all off of your Wi-Fi and everything like that? Just curious if you've explored that option at all.
Yeah, no, I haven't. I looked into it when I was first developing it. I think that there is Matter for where I wanted to take this. The ESP chips that I wanted to use for the PCB, it was a lot harder to get Matter thread certified ones that were one in stock places, but B that were cost, that were the right cost point for us. So that was one of the things for that. I think from my experience, at least, and I could be wrong on this, but I've had better experience connecting Wi-Fi at longer distances than I have Matter devices. And so I think that I will see a lot of people that are going to put this out in their yards, in their garden. So trying to figure out, what's the best connection for reach is going to be my priority on the wireless part of this.
Yeah. You probably stick with Wi-Fi for it, unless you, like you said, you moved over to a base station. Yeah. I mean, all Matter would solve the connectivity into like Apple, Google, Amazon, all that stuff. But
yeah, that makes it super easy to connect there. But
you're going to have a higher cost on the BOM, and all that fun stuff is going to come along with it.
Yes, exactly. Apple has pretty stringent rules with getting your product set up in the HomeKit too. So there's a lot behind that as well.
Right. Yeah, and I think they're either punting or trying to solve that with going the Matter route, so they can just say, well, somebody else is responsible for that. Although they've had their feedback and put in there, it still doesn't prevent someone from making a bad Matter device, no, exactly. Right? But like, if they, in theory, if Apple was really stringent and made everybody cross all the T's and dot all the I's. There shouldn't be any bad HomeKit devices, but there are. So like it just really, it all comes down to, the radio and how the antenna design was done and all that stuff at the end of the day.
It was interesting. This is my first app I've created from scratch, but it was interesting learning the different nuances that Apple and Android have for how the security measures within their ecosystem and their app. So like Apple basically locks down Wi-Fi scanning very heavily. So that is something that so the way my app actually does is you can use your SSID detector. So you can find your current connected SSID. And that's how we use to pair your Wi-Fi credentials. So instead of doing a scan on an iOS device, it can just look up your current connected. Where Android, you have a lot more flexibility in terms of actually scanning for devices, things like that. So that was a lot of interesting learning there on that aspect of it.
Yep, definitely. All in the interest of privacy. So
so like a regular irrigation system, I've never had an irrigation system, but I've been told that you have to blow those out with air and everything else. Is this one pretty maintenance free? Is that you just have to like unplug it when I'm done with this season? How does that work?
Yeah, so it's a good question to bring up. I think that I would tell you to still blow your lines out. Irrigation lines have a little bit more flexibility on them, but if you can still throw something in there to blow the water out, I think if you're in cold Wisconsin, you're going to have a better experience. But yeah, so what I've done in the past and how I run mine is at the end of every season, I simply unplug the irrigation line from the front, unplug it from the wall and unplug the hose and bring the box inside for the winter. And then I just make sure I just use a little air mattress inflator to blow my irrigation lines out because they're such a small rod. And so that just it gets me pretty well. I also found that I don't run the lines super long, and I don't bury them super deep. So it really only takes me 30 minutes a year if I wanted to redo the lines. So I think that there is a play for that with these irrigation lines. Is it worth it to leave them out there and hope that they don't crack, or is it better just to maybe throw the lines back out there?
That's kind of where I settled at. So this is the first year I did the drip irrigation. Last year we kind of bought in the middle of the season, so I didn't have time to do anything. And this year I certain areas like the front yard or whatever, I dug the lines down into the ground because I didn't want like the mailman or whatever to trip on them. And then like the backyard is just like put it along my fence line and the grass grows around it anyway and you don't notice it. And then this year I ripped them all out because I'm going to redo them all next year. So that part was easy for me this year, but I was curious for next year's maintenance at least.
Yeah, and I'm always nervous when it comes to the irrigation lines. Like I'm always nervous of one break. I've had them break on me. And you don't really know until one of the heads stops working or there's a soft spot in your line. So I have to blow them out every year. It's just, it's a must, and you have to bury them far enough because when I do the aeration on my lawn, the last thing I want to do is hit the lines too, right? And trust me, that's happened to me twice.
And I love that. I just want to point out, nobody can see this because it's on video, but Seth is very perplexed by blowing out lines. And it's because they freeze, Seth. I know that you don't have freezing issues in Florida, but in Ohio and in the North in general, we
have to do the same thing with our air conditioning drain lines from time to time.
No, that's not the same thing. You're clearing a blockage. Yes, I know what you're talking about. No, we're getting the water.
Your air conditioner's dirty.
We're getting water out of the lines. Different.
Yeah, because if you don't, it'll destroy the pipes. But yeah, I just saw Seth's face. It was just like, why would you blow the lines out?
And the one difference between this and the regular irrigation too for the lines is that the water won't sit in these lines unless you have a zone up, right? So your hose line you're going to put away. That's pretty easy, right? But that's the only line that you would have water sitting in when the zones are off. So it's not like you'd have a line that could continuously leak. It's only going to leak when the zone's off. So there is that aspect too.
That makes sense. So probably not going to do Matter anytime soon, but is there any other plans to expand to any other hardware? Gavin over there really likes soil moisture sensors. Do you have anything for him?
I do. Yes. That is something that we have quickly been developing. As I think it will add a lot to the system itself. So we have a soil moisture sensor. It's capacitative that we're going to release with the product in April. It's a battery-powered Bluetooth, but it connects into the main AquaFlower, which then will broadcast the readings up to the app for you. So even if you're not home, you're always going to get the continual updates, features of Wi-Fi, but with the battery-saving power of Bluetooth, essentially on the soil sensor. So it's going to run off of a coin cell battery. should give you 6 months to a year use on one battery. So in the app, there'll be 3 kind of settings you can choose for your soil sensors. So you can say, I want like rapid pace updates, and that will give you a reading every 5 minutes. So that's going to drain your battery the quickest. You can take your normal, which will give you a reading every 15 minutes, or you can go like a battery conservation route, and it'll give you a reading every hour. With the hour, you're going to have a very, very long battery life. I would have definitely over a year. So we're trying to, that's one of the cost things we have done right now. We have the company that's making our PCB. They're doing the analysis on it for what's our basically battery life that we can get out of it.
I have a silly question. Like, what would be the point of having granularity down to 15 minutes on soil moisture? Does it change that much in 45 minutes or? Oh, Gavin might know.
I was going to say, Gavin.
I like to watch it.
Yeah. It makes the graphs cool. Yeah.
It's fun for me to see it all work. But no, I don't know if it really. I'd be interested to hear Gavin's take on that.
Well, something like 15 minutes. So here's some ideas. I have like,
I was going to say, this opens a whole can of worms for Gavin, so
this
we might want to edit this whole thing out. We don't know yet.
Yeah, but yeah, like the 1 hour when you're not watering your lawn is great, right? Then when you turn on your lawn, you may want to switch it to a 15-minute, 5-minute type thing so you can monitor it more granularly until you're done. And then once you turn off the irrigation, then you turn it back to 1 hour, because the 1 hour doesn't change. We don't care. It's just if you're automating the watering, that's when I'd want it more granular. So there's an idea.
So if you had it, let's say you assigned a soil sensor to zone 1. When you turn on zone 1, give you 5-minute readings for the next hour.
Yep.
And then switch back to that makes good sense. That makes really good sense. I like that.
Yeah, and that way you can water based off of your soil moisture then, instead of just like however long. So you can go into like 65% or 70%, because that's what we do right now.
You're still in the glory now. Okay? That's part of the feature of the soil moisture there, is that we will have an auto setting. So when you pair your soil moisture, there's going to be a calibration method. So when you put it in, we'll have you dip it in a glass of water, and we'll get the full wet. When it's immersed in fully wet environment, you're going to get that reading. It'll click a button, save it. Then you do it fully dry, save it. And then when you put it in your whatever flower you're doing and you have it to the right, it's like the right dirt moisture that you want it. It's the right watering. You can then save that reading, and that's what we'll call your ideal condition reading. And then there's actually a setting we'll have in the app that you can turn a zone on to auto, and it will then basically let you keep that. But we don't want to water too much. So what we're working on right now is like, how do we then create like a flower selector of some sort so that it can say like roses, you don't want to keep continually soaked, but you want to do a heavy water once or twice a day. So how can we kind of take that into effect so we're not going to create a bad environment for the flowers? So there is an auto feature that we're hoping to have developed out that will basically let someone use the AI bot to say, here's my flower I'm planting. Here's what I think I want the soil moisture to be. And then it'll set up the auto pattern for you, right?
Oh, you got me all. So I have. You can see the excitement.
Nothing gets Gavin more jazzed than soil moisture sensors. Not even 3D printers or Home Assistant.
But I have one suggestion, one ask. Okay, maybe two. No, 3. Okay, 3. I have 3 asks.
Yeah. Let's not put a number on it. You have a lot.
Whatever design you go with, can you keep it low enough that you can run the lawnmower over it, please? That's my current gripe. Ooh. So that's one thing. 2, let us use it for the lawn. And 3, allow us to add a whole bunch of them. Some of us have bigger lawns than others. So I'd love to get it. I have like 8 or something zones in my furry. So if I could add 8 of them, oh man, I'm all in on this. Those are my 3 asks.
Interesting.
So yeah, that was going to be half of my question was going to be, so the board you have has outputs. Do you have a one that's just regular old relay outputs with a 24-volt common bus? Because I have maybe a product I could swap out for that.
That's what.
But those are just some of my suggestions.
I want to dig into that a little bit, Gavin. So, like, let's say you hooked up 8. Would you want to see like a calculated average reading between all the soil sensors for your yard, or you want to see like, in this specific area of my yard, it's this reading?
It all depends, because my yard's a very weirdly shaped between front and back, right? And my front, even in my front, sometimes like certain parts of it don't, I have a big tree and it sucks up the water from there, where the other part of that front lawn doesn't get the water. So I'd have a couple in the front, and an average reading would help, but I would, usually match up the sensor with the irrigation, right? With the zone.
Yep.
So that I would know based on the zone. So once we get the sensor data into something like Home Assistant or whatever automation platform, there I can automate the averaging and all that fun stuff, right? But you would probably do that in your own, in the app as well, the AquaFlower app. You'd want to consider that as well too, right? So it makes sense, but I have so many ideas. If you ever want to just like have a 32-page document I can share on.
That is amazing. No, I love it.
Oh my God.
I like I haven't thought about the lawnmower idea either. That's not something I have planned for. That could take a little redesign on our PCB there, but
yeah,
I think it's
because one of the things I did too was I had it measuring how long it took to get it up to the moisture I wanted, and then it recalculated how long that zone had to actually run to get it to that moisture.
interesting.
And it would constantly calculate that over time so that it knew, like I only have to run the zone for 10 minutes to move it up 5% of moisture, and it would know automatically. It's a little bit more advanced than the average user, but like I said, if you want ideas, I'm full of them.
No, that's really unique. I like that. You gave me some good ideas too. I hope so. No.
All right, I'll take 5% of the company. And but yes, those are my only asks, and I know Seth is excited about stuff like this too.
Yeah, no, anything to, I mean, here, it rains a lot, right? And I always drive down the street and I see people blanket watering their lawns, right in the middle of a rainstorm. And it just it never made any sense to me. I have I think I've got a ratio sitting on the desk, but I've got like one of the little beehive ones that I'm actually using. And like they have a smart sensor and can say, oh, it's going to rain today, so I'm just not going to water the lawn. But, in Florida, like 50 or 60% chance of rain doesn't necessarily mean it's going to rain here. And so it's kind of like knowing what my what my lawn is actually like. It could go a whole week. It's a rainy week, but we don't get any rain. It rains one block over, but not here. Inches one block over. It's crazy. But knowing how to strategically water the lawn, like what Gavin's talking about, would be advantageous. I would like to do that, and I think it would be kind of nice. I haven't gotten to the flowers yet. That we do have some flowers. We had some potted plants, and they die a lot. So I'm always constantly replacing those.
I think you're a prime candidate then for this.
Yeah, that's true.
You are. And being hyper local with the readings, like again, my lawn, some parts have trees that cover up the whole side of my lawn, right? So they don't get as much rain as some other parts of my lawn, or they don't get as much sun, so they don't dry out as much. So this is where this all comes into play. My setup was all automatically adjusting itself.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. And so when you pair a soil sensor, you have the ability to pair it as like a standalone device, where it's just it acts separately, or you can pair it to a zone specific within there. So then if you pair it to a zone, when you're onto that device's kind of device control board in the app, you'll see your reading right there and everything like that. So that's it'll give that flexibility to use it as a standoff.
Keep me in mind.
Yeah, you'll be happy.
Keep me in mind. You'll be happy. When you need a tester, I am here. Just make sure it's during a warm month, please. Don't send me something in winter.
Which for Canada is 9 months out of the year,
yeah,
so
right?
you only got a 3-month window.
Do that, because we're getting we'll get our second shipment of the PCBs for the soil sensors coming in next week. I think they come in, so I might have to throw one your way.
Awesome.
You could either be in really good luck or really bad luck. So I'll just warn you of that one. Well, let's do a little bit of fun here. What's minus the AquaFlower, obviously. What's your favorite home automation product?
Let's see. What would it be?
We know Gavin's is soil moisture sensors.
Yeah. I go back and forth. I love my robot vacuum because I hate vacuuming and I hate cleaning, but I still am working on finding the right one that can get all the dog hair off carpet. So mine works very well for hardwood and all that, but I'm still working to find the ultimate carpet one. So I can't say it's my favorite yet. What is my favorite go-to? Let's see. I'll probably go with, I built a little ESP-based little cat food sensor for how low my cat's food are, because they get very annoying. I'm not a huge cat person. My wife had cats, so I met her, and so we have cats now. And they get very annoying when they're hungry, fairly. So I get it.
They do.
But so I created a little alert to make sure It alerts us. Yeah, I'm right there with them. I can get angry at the best of them. But I think that one's probably the most satisfaction because I can keep the cats from being annoying, which drives me nuts. So I'm going to go with that one.
Nice. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So for those that are interested in AquaFlower, when are you going to officially launch? When can people actually buy this?
Yes. So we will officially launch. The expected official launch date is April 1st, pending some supply chain issues, but we're trying to plan far enough ahead that we should be good. So actually, our first run of all of our production boxes and PCBs will be coming in this week. So we're going to be starting to do test runs of our production models. So everything is looking good for April 1st launch.
Nice.
Excellent. It's a good day. There's not a lot of news that goes on today.
Yeah. Have you thought about going to the second just in case?
Yeah, right.
No, keep it at first.
I didn't even cross my mind, to be honest. No one's going to know. I can always push it.
Perfect day. Perfect day.
I love it.
If you don't meet the date, you could say it was a joke. There you go.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah, it was really the second. There we go. All right. Well, if our listeners want to find out more, or go ahead and connect with AquaFlower so they can get one, pre-ordered or whatever. Where can they find out more about how to do that?
So our website's going to be probably your best resource. It's theaquaflower.com. You can Google us. We usually show up pretty quickly on Google now. But that's going to have all of our information about what the product is, the setup. We'll have a lot of how-to videos on tips and tricks on, when you're setting it up, do this, do that. We'll have a formal YouTube video with an actual walkthrough of the entire process. So all the collateral material for that stuff will be on our website. When we launch on April, you have two choices to purchase it. You can either purchase it through our website, which will have a Shopify store set up. Everything will be ran through the Shopify stuff for security and everything, but we're also planning on, and this one's could change, but our plan is to also launch on Amazon. So you can be able to get it through there as well.
Nice.
So that'll be the two spots I would head to the website for all information. Connect with us on Facebook. We try and put out posts every now and then. We're not the best at it, but that's a work in progress for us.
We'll put links to everything in the show notes here. And Maxwell, thanks so much for joining us and letting us know about AquaFlower.
I appreciate you guys having me. This was a really great time.
Yeah, this has been awesome. Thank you.
All right, there we go. Great interview with Maxwell. Thanks for coming on the show again. It's a really cool product. I also, him looking down the road for, at soil sensing and seeing, monitors.
Soil sensing. Did someone say soil sensing?
I know. Right? Gavin perked up as soon as he said that.
I know.
I don't know if he was sleeping over there or not, but I mean, he just instantly.
It's one of Gavin's special words. He just say soil moisture. I can barely say it, but man, he's on the ball when it comes to that.
If I say it 3 times in the mirror, do you show up to look at my soil? Is that how that works?
I even have a custom emoji for soil moisture sensors.
It depends on which mirror, TJ. And on that note, great interview with Maxwell over at AquaFlower. It is a cool device. I think I only have like a couple of flowers, but that may be because I kill them because I don't water them. And maybe I'd have more flowers if I had a device like this that I could just like hook up and just like kind of forget about, right? Like it just goes in there and kind of does its thing. So yeah, I'm excited when he gets these out. We'll be sure to have him back and talk to him a little bit about like how the product launch went and everything. So thanks again for coming on, Maxwell, and we'll chat with you next time. All the links and topics we discussed tonight can be found over in our show notes at HomeTech.fm/503. Nothing in the mailbag this week, but we do have a pick of the week. This is funny. I saw this over on TikTok, and we all like our robot lawnmower ideas here, but this really takes the cake. This is a robot leaf blower, and this video is incredible. Somebody has strapped a DeWalt, like, I don't know, what is that? A leaf blower. I guess I didn't know that DeWalt made leaf blower things, but I guess they do.
Yeah, I have one.
Well, they make lawnmowers and weed whackers, all kinds of stuff.
So it uses the same battery pack.
They all do now.
Is the idea. And they've strapped it to this, like, one of those quadrupod robotic dog things. The ones that can run into military zones and attack people and stuff. Well, I mean, He strapped it to that with a Pringles can. I don't know why, but
I don't know what the Pringles can was for.
I think it's holding the leaf blower in place. I think it's just functional placement.
Yeah.
He zip tied it down to the back so the leaf blower wouldn't fall forward.
oh, it's like an angle of attack thing, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's really funny. This thing, and he's programmed it to like blow the leaves or something, I guess. Like I don't think that it has the natural ability to do this.
Well, either he's remote controlling
maybe it's a remote control,
it's
yeah.
using some AI, but it would be cool if it was AI and it just knows what to do, right?
It's so funny. It just like uses its little legs and kind of like hops into place and starts blowing more leaves.
I love it.
It's beautiful.
Yeah. I just went to look at my lawn today and the leaves are starting to fall. And, I like to go out every few days and blow off a little leaf so it doesn't look as guilty to the neighbors that I'm blowing the leaves onto the road. So I do it little at a time. Because if you did it and went, all the leaves at once, you'd leave big piles on the roads. The neighbors would be mad. So I just blow a few little leaves here and there and no one ever notices anything.
As somebody who just bought their first house, what are people's obsession with getting rid of the leaves? Is it just so you don't bring them in your house?
Kills your
It
grass.
will kill the grass if you leave it on.
Oh.
Yeah, it kills your grass because it'll create like a layer on top and then just the grass will just die underneath. So you have to blow them off or else you'll be in trouble.
Yeah, this is the way the trees poison the soil for themselves or something like that. Yeah, this is clever. I guess, Gavin, I just thought about this since it's going to snow where you are. Like, what if you attach like a flamethrower thing or like a heater type device and use that to like melt the snow? Will it do that? Could you do that?
I think our HOA will have an issue with that.
Yeah, I don't think that's a good idea at all.
No. Especially when little dogs are walking by and it turns the wrong way, and Fifi.
What if it's like one of those space heaters from Walmart or something? I don't know. Like, it seems like it's doable. I don't know too much about snow or how it works. That's why I'm asking.
Well, we got to give you a primer on snow one day, Seth, and explain to you what it is.
Too funny. All right. Well, if anybody has one of these robot leaf blower or flamethrower robots and they want to share it with us, let us know how it works. If you have any feedback, comments, questions, picks of the week, or great ideas for show, give us a shout. Our email address is feedback@HomeTech.fm, or you can visit HomeTech.fm/feedback and fill out the online form. All right. Project updates. Hey, I did something. And I don't know if you guys can see.
The show.
Yeah, are you trying to impress us?
No. I did this the other night. I was sitting around. I was talking to somebody about their Sonos system, and I'm like, you know what? My wife had gone out of town. My daughter was here, but like she sleeps through everything. So I'm like, I'm gonna go in and mess with the Sonos system, and I'm gonna do what Gavin and TJ did. I'm gonna take it off the Sonos net. I'm gonna put it all on the Sonos Wi-Fi setup, and so I had to delete like my entire system. Right, I had to delete everything out, and there's not even like it deletes all your playlists. It's everything. It's a big hard reset of all the devices in your system. And I added them all back. And I guess it doesn't work at all. So my conclusion is I probably shouldn't have touched it because it was working fine enough, even though it was kind of flaky.
I'm going to take away your tech card.
Now my subwoofer will not even pair with my play bar anymore. That's a fun new development. But it does say that it does pair, and then it'll make the little sound like, it'll make this really cool sound like, oh, yay. But then you go back into the app, the subwoofer is just sitting there by itself, not in the living room anymore. And I'm like, come on, I've reset it, half dozen times. I don't know what else to do. I'm going to have to call Sonos and yell at them. And then I'm betting they'll just say, hey, why'd you unplug the boost thing? Plug that back in. Everything was working.
It's your Wi-Fi. You got Wi-Fi issues.
Yeah, it's my Wi-Fi.
Just post on the Sonos subreddit. That's what they'll tell you too. Yeah. It's your network.
Yeah, I mean, it very well could be. I suppose I haven't made any major changes. I did some weird stuff to the network recently. But that's why I kept everything on Sonos Net, so I didn't have to worry about my home network being a thing. I don't know. Maybe I'll go plug the bridge back in and see if stuff comes on. But right now, I have 2 Sonos devices out of 6 working, and no Sonos sub in my living room. So, and I will say, if this was the experience I had with Sonos from the very beginning, like if I had just bought some Sonos, I would have returned it. I would never be a Sonos customer. Mm-hmm. The app is truly not great. I know they've tried, but it
Have
seemed
they?
well. I can tell they've tried to like in make the install experience a little bit better for consumers.
Yeah, that's true.
But I can tell you, like when I set this stuff up way back in the day and just pressed a button and I was done with it, like that was a lot easier than the listen for this audio tone your device will never hear. Oh, that's probably because I have headphones in. I guess I got to stop listening to my podcast to set up the stupid Sonos system and take the headphones out.
The worst part of that too is the Sonos amp setup, how they changed that. Have you done a Sonos amp?
No.
It's the dumbest thing. They put a serial number on the back of the Sonos amp that you have to type in, and they put it in like gray font on the black amplifier.
Like Anchor and
so
Apple.
Like, and of course, like if you're doing like a rack setup, you get all the Sonos amps installed and everything, and then you have to take them out to set them up. Who thought that was a good idea, Sonos? Come on.
Why can't you just push the button on there? Just push the button.
Sorry, that's my rant.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, well, my Sonos system is messed up. So maybe after Halloween, I'll go mess with it. I don't know. TJ, you were talking about this app before the show that you heard an advertisement for on the ATP podcast. And I downloaded it. And guess what it found? It found all the devices the Sonos app doesn't even see. So maybe I'll just use that and say, forget this Sonos app thing again. Ridiculous.
Yeah, I was listening to that podcast the other day, and it was just like a quick announcement. Like I don't even know why they paid for the advertising spot, to be honest. But it got me to download it and pay $15 a year, so it worked for them.
Yeah.
But the other day I was having trouble with my Sonos system, and I was like, you know what? I'm tired of this. And I remembered the ad, and I downloaded the app, and it worked with my system immediately. And I'm like, oh, okay, so it's not my speakers or my network. It's just the Sonos app actually does suck.
Yeah, and when you go to the settings, it doesn't prompt you to add headphones that you don't have. Like, why? Why would I want to add headphones to the system that doesn't work right now? Thanks, Sonos. And you as a listener, thank you very much. You thought you were going to get through a whole episode without us mentioning Sonos. No, guess what? We mentioned Sonos. No news?
Too late.
So we still got Sonos news. So anyway, I'm done. I don't have any more projects.
And I'm jealous because I want that Sonos Arc Ultra, but they still suck. So
I don't have any more projects, stuff to talk about. I do have stuff to talk about, but it's not done yet, of course. But I'm going to finish it and then I'll talk about it one day. Yeah, I've found some really fun stuff. I'm playing with some really cool stuff. So anyway, TJ, what you been up to?
So I had the family staying with me for a month, and that was mostly all right. But one thing that I learned is that my lighting control sucks. And the reason my lighting control sucks is because, first of all, everything is tailored to basically me. The wife inputs whatever she wants changed and stuff, and I implement some changes. But I just do whatever I want, and most of the time that's fine until somebody stays with you. And if they stay with you for a night, not the end of the world. You can fix that. But when they stay with you for 2 or 3 weeks, you have to disable all this stuff and do all these things and show them how to work your light switches and stuff. And it's very aggravating. And one of the things that we've talked about over the past year since I bought the house is I've moved all my lighting to Philips Hue. And the reason for that is I want adaptive lighting throughout the house. And I really like adaptive lighting because adaptive lighting, basically for those that don't know, is it turns on your lights and it sets the brightness and color temperature depending on the time of day. And so in the middle of the night, if the lights turn on, they're very soft 2700K color. In the middle of the day, they're going to be a bright white and super bright and all that stuff. And I really like that feature because I basically don't touch my light switches now unless I want to turn on or off a light. They just automatically go. If I'm doing something in the house, I can use Home Assistant or Google to set the brightness higher if I need to use a room for something. So it's great. The problem, though, is that in a lot of my rooms, I have a fan light combo that works like a traditional fan light combo, not the newer ones that use a wall remote. And so the easiest drop-in replacement was a Zooz Zen30, which is the double switch. I've sent you one of those, Seth.
Mm-hmm. They're nice.
It's a dimmer and it's got a button on the bottom, and they're great for fan setups because you can dim the lights on the fan with the dimmer. You can turn on the fan with the button, and they're fantastic. However, if you go to Philips Hue bulbs, which use Zigbee, you have to rely on automations to control the lights, which is mostly fine. But when you have to explain to somebody that, sometimes in this room, the lights get out of whack and you have to hit the bottom light switch and then hit the top again and the light will turn on, like that's aggravating.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
And that's just the way it is because the automations, because the Zooz is using Z-Wave and the Philips Hue is using Zigbee. And there's different ways that you can set that up through the automation and everything to fix that. But it's just not intuitive all the time. And so I've moved to Innovelli Blue Series switches throughout the entire house. So all my switches now, whenever the back order is filled, will be Innovelli switches with relays in the fan canopy for fan control.
Nice. Classic, man. Or classy.
Yeah.
Classy.
So the only thing I don't like about it is I don't get a physical button. I still get a physical button because the little config button with the Innovelli switches can control the fan. Mm-hmm. But it's not like, I have to rely on a relay, which I'm not a huge fan of, instead of an actual button. But it works pretty good.
Yeah.
So
as long as you have the option.
Yeah, I've been working on that. I've had to switch out a couple other relays, and I ordered some Innovelli fan canopy relays. And they are way too big. They're huge in my canopies, and unfortunately I cannot use them. And so I've had to use either Sonoff, like the mini relays, which can just control one device, or like in my bathroom, I've gone with an Akara T2 relay, and that can control two different devices. And so I basically have the Innovelli switch in the bathroom with the relay in the exhaust fan, and that way I can control the light and the exhaust fan separately.
Nice. I need to set that up in our bathroom. It's one of them has, one of the bathrooms has everything run back to a single spot. The only way to do it is exactly how you described. And what was it? The Zooz switches with the relay.
Yeah, Zen30.
Zen30, yeah.
Well, I do have a couple extra, Seth, so I can send you one if you want.
Send them on over. I'll install it in the bathroom.
Yeah, I mean, they still work great and everything. With the Innovelli, I can do Zigbee binding with the Philips Hue bulbs, and they're just super reliable and everything. So it just makes sense to move towards them. I wish I could do Zigbee binding with that config button, but that's not the end of the world.
Yeah, I wish I could do that, but I guess it's not an on-off, and I don't think you can bind a toggle. I can't remember, but that config button would have been nice to bind with.
Yeah. And I think that's why, and I might be getting this wrong, but I think that's why I was interested in the Innovelli fan canopy relay originally, is because I think you can do that with their actual relay. But I don't know for sure because I can't actually use it. So that is my fault, not Innovelli's, unfortunately. The other thing is I've been looking for, I know you've been talking about this, Gavin, your floodlight automation stuff. But I've been looking for a floodlight for my driveway, and I finally decided to take the plunge on a Railink PoE floodlight camera. And so Railink is sending me that camera. I'll have that hopefully this week. But it's going to go in my driveway because right now I have no light in my driveway. And I need a floodlight anyway. And I was thinking about installing like an actual electrical floodlight. But I don't want to do that. I already have Cat 6 and it's cheap.
It's the alien looking one.
Yeah, it's the alien looking one, right?
It is a little alien
the dual
looking.
camera.
Yeah.
Means business, though.
Yeah, I mean, don't come to my house. I guess. I don't know. I finally got rid of my truck, though. So I had a truck when I moved from Florida to Ohio, and it was my wife's dad's truck, and I bought it from him originally, and I brought it up to Ohio. And I've had it since I moved to Ohio, but I finally got rid of it. I just sold it yesterday. And so it's out of my driveway now. And I can finally park my van right next to the house. And I want to have a light over there to see the van. So
but this is going to go there?
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. That makes sense.
Yeah, and I already have two cameras in the driveway. Yeah. And so this should replace both cameras.
Yeah, I like how you can get the wide angle look on this, see everything.
That's 180 degree, I believe it gives you field of vision, which I was trying to get one of those for my side, the side of my house, so that I can see down the whole side. But the problem is they don't ship to Canada yet, the one I want.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I have to see how I like this and everything, and I haven't seen if it's compatible. Is it OnVIF compatible or anything like that? So I'll have to play with that. I really needed a floodlight, and I like the form factor and everything. So, and I don't have to run a new Cat 6, which is always an advantage. I'll have to get into the attic because I want to center it on the house, but no new cable.
It's nice. The floodlight runs over the PoE power too?
Yeah.
Oh, so that's kind of nice.
It's all PoE.
Because it's
great.
LED.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's nice. And then what we were just talking about, Seth and I, about Sonos. I would say give that Click app a shot if you've had trouble with the Sonos app.
So everybody,
because I've had trouble with the Sonos app. It just sucks for the past like several months. If you've been paying attention at all, you know what we're talking about. It's crazy that an app or a product that I've used for years without issues, I can't even open an app and like use it anymore. It's so crazy to me. And it just proves that if you can buy this app from this like random person, and this app does not look great. If you were complaining about like the original Sonos app or the redesigned Sonos app, you're not going to like this anymore. But it just worked. It worked instantly. And that's crazy. So it's obviously not a network issue or a speaker issue. It's a Sonos app issue.
Yep.
So that's my rants for the week. What do you got going on, Gavin?
Way too much is normal. I just want to give a few updates on some of the things, I've mentioned in past shows, and now I've had it for a little while. And, I like to give a little update after a while, the Aquara M3 hub that I bought. I picked this hub up basically to bridge some of my older Aquara devices into my Home Assistant through Matter. In terms of bridging those devices, they have been solid, right? Before, some of those older Zigbee sensors would drop off, and I retired them from my setup. But adding them to the hub, they stay connected. They're solid. They get exposed by Matter to my Home Assistant, and so I have a whole drawer full of sensors to redeploy now that I know that's a lot more solid. So if you're looking to do that with some of those older sensors, and I know TJ, you had a couple sensors back in the day when you first started playing around with Home Assistant, you just said they would just drop off. They work perfect with their hub. This is how you can redeploy them if you still have them laying around. The only thing about the hub, and keep this in mind, is that not every sensor is exposed to Matter. So I wanted to add, I think, was it my water sensor I wanted to add? They don't expose those to Matter. So it's only like the motion sensors and a few other sensors that they actually expose. So you're still limited. I don't know if that's just because of the Matter spec at the time didn't really have something for them. Maybe in a future update they'll expose it. So it doesn't expose every sensor to Matter, which I found kind of annoying, but it is what it is. Right? Speaking of Matter, I know I asked in the chat, and I never really thought about this, but what is the process to removing Matter devices? I never ever thought about
Can you
this.
not do it?
Well, you could delete, like,
which go Matter.
So for example, with Zigbee, you go to your hub, you put it, or you just delete it, and it kind of deletes it out of the system, right? With Z-Wave, you put your hub into exclude mode and you do the button dance and it takes it out of the system, right? Well, with Matter, if I go to my Home Assistant and delete it, it's still in my Apple Home, isn't it? And it's still in the other. Do you have to go to every ecosystem and delete
I never
them?
thought about that.
That's how I felt too.
Wait, don't you only set it up with one ecosystem?
No, it gets exposed to a whole bunch of ecosystems.
Oh,
like
true.
You'll have it, say you have it in your home, you have it in your Home Assistant, you have it in your, I don't know, A-Lady, and you delete it from one. Say you didn't want it in your home, Apple Home ecosystem, but you wanted the others. You just delete it from the Apple Home and it stays in the others. Like,
I think you're just the first person to ever want to delete a Matter device, Gavin.
Yeah, stop deleting stuff.
I removed a whole bunch of Matter devices. So.
Seth and I are never delete.
We never delete. So yeah.
So I only use them in my Home Assistant, really. So I just went into there and I just deleted them. But I guess you just delete them, right? Like there's no like exclude process. So I just went in and deleted them. And I guess they're off. But if any of the listeners have maybe we need to ask Daniel there.
Yeah.
Like what's
how do you delete this stuff?
What's the proper way? And he says you don't.
He says, yeah, once you go in, you can't go out.
What are you deleting for? Yeah, exactly.
It's part of you forever.
So just something I wanted to mention. If one of the listeners has more insight into this, feel free to share. I'd like to know, right?
Jimmy knows. I know Jimmy's listening. He's going to tell us.
He's deleted plenty of Matter devices, I'm sure.
I'm pretty sure. Yeah, it would be good to know the proper way. I just wanted to give a quick update on my spider rack. If you listened to last week's show, spider racks. That's
just in time for Halloween.
That's my new name. So I went down and I sprayed it with the that scented spray. What was it again? I said
was that peppermint?
Peppermint. Yeah, peppermint. And you know what? It's been over a week now and no new spider webs, nothing. And I even went down there to do something on the rack and there was a spider in the corner looking at me like he was pissed. He was like, I should be chilling on that rack, but you sprayed it, right?
Nice,
like, yeah,
warm.
he was mad. So, but there's no new cobwebs on my rack. So that peppermint seems to have helped the situation there. I'm kind of happy about it. So I'm going to keep an eye on that and see how long it lasts. But, yeah, those spiders in my rack seem to have taken care of it.
That's great. That's great to hear.
Well, you know what? Another one of those situations is like, how am I the only one with this problem with a rack in their basement that builds up spiders? Am I?
Nobody ever looks at their rack, I think, is the issue. Like, I mean,
do people?
The only reason I look at mine is because it's my laundry room.
Do you not put racks in the basement? Like, I have spiders down there, and yeah, they're fine. You the cobwebs all over the place, but they love that rack for some reason. And how am I the only one? So I'm just throwing it out there because there's got to be somebody out there with a spider rack and they just want to know what a solution is. And, maybe a little peppermint will solve it for you, So there you go. And last little tip I just want to throw out there. I've been playing with my dashboards and I know before the show, I kind of showed you guys my remote pop-up. So basically I have a little button on there for my remote and it throws a nice little pop-up on my dashboard. And on that pop-up, you have like swipe to control and, it's like a full remote replacement for my TV on my dashboard. Now, what I want to throw out there is if you're looking to do a nice little pop-up on your dashboard, look at, a hacks integration called, Browser Mod. And with Browser Mod, you can do some fun things in on your dashboard, including creating pop-ups as a pop-up function you can do. And it's nice and clean. It's a little bit more advanced, but once you figure it out, you'll add that extra little bit of spice to your dashboard. So check it out. Browser Mod, it's a hacks for those that like to customize their dashboards. That's why I'm throwing it out there.
Yeah, you showed me that. It's really cool. Like the pop-up remote thing you made, and that's awesome.
Yeah, that's pretty nice.
It basically just mimics my Harmony remote. I just duplicated my Harmony remote in the app, and now I'm sitting there on the chair, and I use my phone to control the TV, and it works perfectly fine.
It's pretty nice, especially like I still use the Control 4 app or whatever. But from time to time, when I need to control something, when the remote battery dies or I forget to charge it for whenever, yeah. So like. Or if it's like on the couch and I'm too lazy to get up and go to the other side of the couch where it is, I'll just bring out the app. It's always there. You always have it.
And it doesn't clutter my dashboard because my dashboard actually doesn't show the remote until the TV's actually on. So if the TV's on in Apple TV mode, then it will show the status of the Apple TV and the Apple TV remote that you can pop up, right? If I'm using my other input, it will switch to that one instead. But otherwise, it hides it from the dashboard. So a lot of things on my dashboards are hidden until you need to see them. And that's my projects for this week. That just sums it up. Little update.
You basically made Crestron, basically like DIY Crestron. It's pretty amazing.
It is amazing. I know they get a lot of flack because people hate YAML encoding and stuff like that. But
people meaning me.
Yeah,
you're talking about
but
me.
When you really want to do a lot with your Home Assistant dashboards, like it's almost limitless what you can do. It's just amazing.
Cool, man.
Unlimited cards.
I can't wait to show you guys what I've been working on. There's so much stuff here. I found a really cool IoT type development platform, which I'm using for other things right now, but I've got some cool stuff to show you. So
we'll save it for a future show.
Yeah, well, for sure. It'll have to be in the future whenever I finish.
And I've been playing around with this Apollo stuff they sent me. Still more. Wow, these things are amazing. But we'll get into that in a future show.
Yeah.
Sounds interesting. See, we're teasing future shows. For sure, Seth will have something done. And then Gavin.
Yeah, no hurricane excuses. So
yeah, I know. Right now, it's all downhill, right? Like, no, it's got what is it? It's the end of the year, so we have all these holidays that pop up. So that does take time to do. Family obligation stuff. So yeah.
Oh, and one last thing.
Oh, Gavin's got more.
Oh, yeah. One last thing. On October 7th, I'll be on Home Gadget Geeks again.
Oh.
Talking home automation. So, just going over to the averageguy.tv and, the Home Gadget Geeks links there. We're going to be talking some Home Assistant on there. They contacted me, booked me, and yep.
Nice.
That's November 7th.
Awesome. Well, I will be listening. That show has gotten me thinking about a lot of different things. Some of the stuff I'm actually working on. So yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. So I have to talk to him about that generator thing though. That's
you do.
Yeah.
Well,
give your question and he'll talk about it.
Or why don't you join me on the show and we'll talk generators and Home Assistant.
Ooh.
Backing up Home Assistant.
There we go. All right. Well, I think that's going to wrap up everything this week. We do want to give a big thank you to everyone who supports the show, but especially those who are able to financially support the show through our patron page. If you don't know about the patron page, head on over to HomeTech.fm/support to learn how you can support the show for as little as $1 a month. Any pledge over $5 gets you a big shout out here on the show, but every pledge gets you an invite to our Slack chat, the Hub, where we talk about Mac Minis. That's all I got going on today, and a couple other things. It's basically, the comments after the show. That's where you go and read them. There's a lot of good stuff going on in there.
It's also where you go to yell at us. So if you want to yell at us for something we said in the show,
yeah,
you have to join Slack.
Yeah, we were talking about PoE plus, which is a thing. Plus. Yeah, I got
so many pluses.
It's not really. It can't be a thing.
You're talking about mice.
Yeah. All good stuff in there.
You guys were talking about the Unify UNAS. Remember that?
Yeah. That's curious. I'm curious what that'll be.
Honestly, I want that, but I want it in a 1U capacity, and I want it to run Protect as well.
So demanding.
You just want a bigger Protect. You want to Protect with a NAS built in? Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
So you just want to...
Because they already have the UNVR with a single NAS or a single U NAS. So.
You just want Protect in a box. You just want
chassis.
it to be like one unit. It's your Protect, it's your drives, you're good.
That's right.
Okay. Like a Blue Iris box.
I got a tiny house. I can't be fitting all these electronics. I mean, I'm lucky I got a rack in my laundry room, but I can't fit giant servers. I can't fit Seth servers in my house.
Sure.
I can barely fit them in my house.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. That's all the fun you're missing over there. There's conversations. I can see someone who's typing right now. I'm not going to say his name, but his initials are Robert Spivak. He's typing something.
If he just started typing, it's
going to be a while.
Yeah, it's going to be a while. Oh, and the question about...
This episode will be out by then. So.
The question about running Ethernet through the toilet drains. Yeah, that was a good topic.
I forgot about that. That's so funny. Man. Don't do that. Don't ever do that. But if you want to help out the show but can't support financially, totally understand. Just appreciate a 5-star review or positive rating is in iTunes or whatever podcast app you're listening to, just to help bring more people to the show. That's going to wrap up all the news and stuff we have this week. Everybody have a great weekend, and we'll see you next week.
Take care.
Till next time.
And cut. All right, back to the moisture sensor.
Right. Oh my God.
No, I'm just kidding.
Keep recording.